Steve, episode 10, double digits, the Broadway block. Great night for the New York Rangers franchise. Getting the 2-point win, shut out by Igor. Panarin's 100th game with a goal. How do you feel?
It's hard not to feel good about that game. There was a few moments where you're kind of holding your breath a little bit. Not to say that we played, tremendously well, but the things that we did well. Couple nice little storylines. Panarin now has sole possession of the most amount of points within the first 100 games for the Rangers franchise. So in great company already, being Mark Messier and Jaromir Jagr, but sole possession on a beautiful feed from. Love it. Copying my swagger a little bit today. It's kind of funny.
For the bread man on that game, you might as well just add another zero right there. 100th game, make it something special.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Zero up for Igor. Igor with that, like we were talking about, 36 career games. I was like, this guy didn't have a shutout already? I thought this already happened. 27 saves, shutout, couple breakaway opportunities stopped. He kept us really in that game the whole night. It could have been a different storyline for the Rangers.
It absolutely could have. And one of the stats that was brought up during the broadcast was that he's actually the best goalie when it comes to breakaway opportunities, stopping 18 out of 20. So really good to see. Some of the harder chances is not where he struggles. He did give a lot of credit to the defense after the game. In the post-game interview, was talking about all the block shots, and especially towards the end of the game where they grabbed that penalty and it already pulled the goalie. So a lot of help from the team, and it's nice to see a little bit of a mixture of the top guys getting the points, whereas the kids played well. So yeah, really good team win from that last night.
I was also really happy because, we have the tendency to play to whatever team's level we're playing. Devs did a couple trades, as we talked about the Palmieri, Zajac. I think they shipped a couple other guys out. So it was really happy for me to see that we did not play down to their level. Of course, like we said, with the Miles Wood had a couple breakaways. They were getting opportunities to shoot. It wasn't like, I think they actually had more shots in the game than us total. But to me, the better team prevailed. We got the 2 points, which is great. We really needed those 2 points. Still 4 points behind the Bruins at 50. We are at 46 points. Another nice thing is now we are one full win above the Flyers, which is really helpful for us in the standings to sole possession of 5th place. Really want to get that 4th place. Good 2 assist night for Fox. He gets back into the points column. Panarin with that great goal from a great pass from Hedl, and Kraftstoff looked good the whole game. He's due. One of these 3 remaining Devils games, I definitely think he's going to put one in.
Yeah, so we mentioned the 2 assists from Fox. If you watch the way that the play broke out in the neutral zone, it was clearly Kraftstoff's stick hitting a defenseman's stick from the Devils, which resulted in the puck transferring over to Mika. But being that the last 2 Rangers that touched it were Buchnevich and Fox, they end up with the assist on the play. But it was a good heads-up awareness from Kraftstoff. And it's one of those things where you're just doing the right thing. You don't necessarily get rewarded on the score sheet, but you can bet when he goes back to the bench that that's something that they're celebrating and showing him. And when Mika scored the goal, if you look, Teller was pointing right at him from. So if you're Kraft, it's nice to maybe not get the point, but nice to have good performances in back-to-back games and slowly earn that trust. You mentioned getting outshot. This is sort of becoming a trend. Unfortunately, we were having a difficulty getting pucks through that first layer of defense. A lot of block shots from their point of view, but we managed to put 19 against Blackwood, and then the 20th coming in Mr. 20K's empty netter there. So you had actually texted me during the game about Booch playing great defense. And then that's exactly how he scored that one to really put the nail in the coffin. Got in the traffic lane, sort of telegraphed the pass from Subban there, and got right into the passing lane, absorbed it with his body, and then just dumped it into the empty net. But one of the stories of the game Mika Zibanejad 29% on faceoffs, only won 4 out of 14. Something's got to break with these faceoff percentages. We'd mentioned last game giving other people the chance to take the faceoff just because you're not really having the best luck there. So that's one of the areas that we could have stood to improve on. There's a lot of fights, man, a lot of
Well,
feistiness that I hope sort of carries over to this 4-game series here.
I wanted to bring that. That's a good point. The first fight was Chris Kreider after a big hit on Severson. They got into it. But another person besides the faceoff who is due for a goal is Chris Kreider. He's goalless in the last 7 games now. And I think in the last 14 games, they've been the goals that he has scored have only come on the power play. So I really think to elevate our level, we need Chris Kreider to get back to where he was in carrying us mid-March and getting these goals, because we're really going to need him in the playoffs if we do make it there.
I would totally agree, man. He's a crucial part of the team, and I don't want to say that you can start to see the frustration, but I think that part of that early fight was at the 1.5 minute mark, is that frustration, and in the same
Agreed.
way that the last game, he took that penalty, and you could see it in his eyes. So hopefully he gets one, maybe just to break him out of this little thing. It only registers that there was 2 fights this game, but there was a few scrums that very well could have been there. You saw that really dangerous hit on Strome that left him on the ice for a little bit. And a lot of people
Lafreniere was
chirping
getting
back and forth.
chippy.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
what I mean. Look, you need these guys to know that to get up for these games, and Laugh, I think, is no stranger to if you watched his like World Juniors play and playing for the Oceanic, that he's no stranger to playing physically and rough and tumble. But I think you get a little bit lost in the fact that you're trying to produce, not lost. I mean, this is what he should be focusing on. But remember what sport you're playing. You're not here to play. Not to talk crap, but you're not here to play a game of basketball. You're not here to just lightly walk away from if somebody's getting in your face, you get in their face back. And he's a big boy, man. It's nice to see him not be intimidated by this team. And you're going to be here for the next 3 games. And this is a rivalry for a reason. So get up for this game and be ready for these guys to, I don't want to say play the spoiler role, but they only stand to gain bragging rights by beating us. There's really, other than a 15-game winning streak, there's really nothing that's going to make them make the playoffs. And you can tell by the way that the manager decided to pull the plug. So I think these games are even more important after those trades. You can tell they're a depleted team, and you got to capitalize.
Totally agreed. And another point for the Laugh toughness, I don't see the Devils big boys like, Jack Hughes filled out a little bit, but Kako's over here on the boards, knocking everybody. Definitely one-hand stick Rick Nash in it to the net. He's really making his presence known. Same with Lafreniere now. He's in front of the net. He's making these cross ice passes. He's down on the boards. He's not shying down from anybody in his face. Which I will say on the Devils, they got Nico and Jack Hughes, who really, to me, I don't see them stepping up like they're like Kako and Lafreniere.
Well, I do believe that they both play a different game, being that Laugh and Kako are wingers. So their board play is something that is their game is predicated on, where a center's game is more a defensive style game. You have to play a 200-foot game and maybe more of a playmaking style of game. Whereas these guys are used to being a little bit more gritty and digging into the corners. But that's the beautiful thing about when you win the lotto, right? Is like you could, we could be talking about Rasmus Dahlin in one of these jerseys, because it all just happens to be when the ball gets called with your name on it. So I'm glad we have who we have, but imagine the world in a completely different Twilight Zone where Hughes and Kako play in the same team, and so does Nico and Lafreniere. It would be a much different setup. But having those 2 guys be chippy is what we need them to do, especially being that we maybe more so than the Devils have that high octane presence up front on the top 2 lines that allows them to sort of find their game on that 3rd line and do what we need them to do, which is be more chippy. Because we had mentioned in the last few shows, I'm not worried about these highlight reel snipe type goals. Those will occur. You need to teach these guys how to get it for themselves and put it in the back of the net that way. So another good performance from the kids line.
So we got another game with them coming up. Looking forward, the Bruins have 3 tough games in hand. They got 2 against the Islanders, and then they got another one against the Caps. So not unheard of to think they could drop 2 out of 3. And if we could get a couple wins here, you know, we could really give our playoff chances a real hope here. So we hope for our crosstown rival, the Islanders, actually show up, but we don't know. Who you got in net next game, Steve? Do you go back to Igor, Mr. Career first shutout?
I think you do. And if it's not for the next game, there will be a back-to-back coming up on Saturday, Sunday. So you can expect to see Georgiev in the net at some point or another. But yeah, I think you ride Igor, and especially being that he had the shutout, that's some confidence that you can roll into the next game, where I'd be very surprised to not see him in net for at least the next one. And then maybe you give him the break on the Saturday game to give him just an extra day of rest so that he's nice and fresh for Sunday. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that. I definitely think you give him the game tomorrow for us, and then over the weekend, definitely split the games with either Grigoriev or Kincaid. I think we talked about Grigoriev's definitely the number 2 guy now, so he'll probably be in net. I think that's all we have for you guys today. Let's go Rangers. Got to get another big win, get another 2 points.
Huge stretch right now.
Huge stretch.
Talk to you soon, Joe.
Thanks, Steve.